I'm somewhat concerned that Jeff Thu of Mother's Basement hasn't covered Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online in his What's in an OP series on his channel after the hype and praise that he's drummed up for the series. So in order to better understand the opening here to this great show, I'm throwing my hat into the ring here and taking my shot at the analysis required to make sense of an opening like this one. As I looked throughout the OP for different references to the show and different things that are supposed to be spoilers, I began to uncover a ton of different symbols and external layers within Alternative's opening, Ryuusei. The deeper I dove in, the more I realized the layers upon layers within the song and its visuals when compared to the show itself. So in order to fully understand the depth they take the symbolism, we're going all in on everything stated in the show up to episode 7 of the anime. I will be doing some callbacks to SAO proper, but most of this discussion and analysis will be focused on Alternative itself and its opening. So don't expect me to outright compare the two shows and determine a true victor between the two. Also, I don't do this for a living, so I'm not what you would call a professional at this little bit of analysis. So if I miss anything, please let me know in the comments below. Ryuusei starts out with a shifting tunnel of red lines in the pattern of a digital grid. During this part, the title card comes up, revealing the show and knocking any doubt about which SAO spin-off you're watching out of the way. Notice that the tunnel spirals back and forth like a portal, showing that the majority of the action takes place here in GGO, separate from the real world, but still as real as the world these characters escape from while they're playing the game. There's not much outside of this segment, but it doesn't have to be talked about here since the opening makes more references to this fact later. Almost immediately later, as a matter of fact. Right after the title card shatters, the world is brought in with its object data before texturing is overlaid on top of it. Immediately, this reestablishes the point that the tunnel prior was hinting at. This world is fake, but it's another reality to the characters within it. And the text is something that I'll mention now, so I don't have to mention it later, but throughout the whole OP, the staff credits are slightly distorted and will sometimes change back and forth from their stable letters and numbers to randomized digits and numerics depending upon which one it is. In terms of the theming within the OP, this helps sell the fake world even more, showing that not even the information available is completely genuine to reality. Then we see Len, who is shown in the middle of all this digital creation briefly as her avatar is moved from the left side closer to the camera and towards the right side. Just as Len goes off screen, the green cloak she uses to camouflage herself whips off of her, revealing her true colors, so to speak, as the pink-clad version she adores. It's here where the vocals of the song begin, establishing the context of the main character, Len, and by extension, Karen. Karen is unhappy with herself in the real world, her height being the hardest part to her, so she finds refuge from her reality within GGO as someone else, Len. The lyrics themselves echo this, roughly translating to, I always had a hard time when comparing myself to someone else. As the line transitions into its later portion, the scene transitions to Karen laying down with the atmosphere on her head. During the time she's in GGO, she can leave the harsh truth about herself behind and be free, but it doesn't completely make her content with herself, as shown here with both Len and Karen donning saddened looks. The next line bleeds into this scene and the following one, stating that she could count her missing things only to start crying afterwards. This line's latter portion is sung while the new scene, a side shot of Karen, is then brought on screen. This may just be due to my need to look too deep into things, but when the scene transitions here to the side shot of Karen, the crying stated within the song can be symbolized by the falling bullets that are shown behind her. Again, we see that she's uncontent with herself in this moment by her sorrowful expression here. It's something easier to pick up on due to the prior scenes, but it feels as though Karen's height complex makes a much greater impact on her mind than the show would have us believe. Next, we see a shot of an unpainted Pichon on a bed with a keychain of Pichon's true color hanging below it. Say that 3 times fast. A second later, the full-sized gun turns pink as well to match Pichon. The line here translates roughly to, sorrow comes close to my back and envelops me. This is symbolic of Karen's struggle to be cute and adorable, down to the point where she even colored her gun and her outfit to a bright pink color, one that is usually associated with cute, adorable girls. However, this isn't the only scene shown during this line. We also get a shot of Karen curled up with her knees under her chin, sitting on the edge of her bed with her laptop next to it. The darkened color palette, the cooler choices in colors, and the melancholy expression on Karen's face cue that this is directly related to the line being spoken. While Pichon turning pink references Karen trying to become cute and shorter, it can also be a reference to Karen's ability to metaphorically shed her skin when she plays GGO. Then we get to my favorite part of the first half of this opening. We get a close-up shot of Karen and the monitor behind her. While the line itself echoes the same things the prior scenes and lines did, it can be interpreted in a different manner. The line roughly translates to, "That coldness makes my heart freeze." We could talk about sorrow all day, but the last part of this line is sung as the white image on her monitor changes to that of a bird. This isn't just any old bird though. This is an image of a pitohui, a bird species indigenous to New Guinea. For those of you who have seen the show all the way up to episode 7, a player references this exact same bird when echoing what Pito's name means, a deadly toxin. In real life, the bird is poisonous to humans, almost to the point of being fatal. This is a symbol representing Pito, the player who seeks out Len early on and introduces her to the squad jam. Not only is Pito Huey a close friend, but she's also a problem we see later on in the show, one that Len, and Karen by extension, must wrestle with how to save her from herself. This little symbol is much more impactful in this scene after you've seen it in the show, but the show itself sets it up at an optimal time during binge watching for you to connect the dots at the start of episode 8 when this plays. The next scene is a little less interesting to break apart, but its symbolic nature is just as deep and impactful. The shot pans up from a few stray bullet casings, leading to a pile of casings that surround Pito Huey, who's facing away from the camera with both of her guns. The casings then dissolve away into glowing golden fragmented particles that float around Pito. The shot then snaps to a close-up of her as she looks over her shoulder at the camera. Her smile is rather unsettling to say the least, but it helps to secure her uncontrolled personality within the game. Pito missed out on SAO, making her an SAO loser, and leaving her to regret not jumping into the game and enjoying the chaos that ensued following its launch. The numerous casings combined with her maniacal smile are a dead giveaway to this, and yes, I did intend on making that pun, that she's completely crazy, uncontrollable, and somewhat of a trigger-happy psychopath. Air Ioi's lines here roughly translate to, "When did this become something to not laugh at?" and "There is no reset button to return to the past." Both of these lines echo that the importance of the second squad jam is much more impactful than the first, where Pito and Len are destined to meet on the battlefield. Pito is not only a danger to others inside of the game and the avatar's health points, but also herself and M in real life should things go wrong for her in squad jam. The next line is overlaid on a few brief shots. The line itself roughly translates to "remove it, break down that safety fate." This line is a call to action for Len and the others to stand up for who they are inside and to not let the others decide the fates for themselves. The shots themselves include Len turning off the safety, loading a fresh magazine of bullets into Pichon, and cocking it back for combat. We get 3 quick shots with no line sung between beats. The first is of the All Japan Machine Gun Lovers, one of the first teams that Len and M come across in the first squad jam. Not only do they have their sights on Len and Fuka Zero in the second squad jam, but it's the first bit of conflict we see Len caught up in during the show. The second is the team that Len and M took down near the lake during the first squad jam. They're none too keen on being taken down by Len again, so they're here in the second squad jam for payback. The third of these 3 shots is of the gymnastics team's avatars. They consider themselves rivals of Len, as she and M were the reason they lost the first squad jam and placed second, making them one of the many teams out to get Len and Fuga Zero in the second round. All 3 of these teams have a bone to pick with Len, and they're out to challenge them to a fair fight. Len will have to be on her guard during the second squad jam if she wants to save Pito Huey. Right as the next line begins, we get one more quick shot of Len, this time with the rival teams training their bullets on her. This echoes the rivals' determination to win in the second round. The kickoff of the next line starts with Len dashing across the desert landscape, leaving a trail of dust behind her. This shot is followed by a close-up of Pichon emptying its rounds on opponents that we don't see. This demonstrates Len's speed, but it also shows her determination to rush in and take her foes down with any hesitation. The line played in this part translates roughly to "someday that meteor will cut through the night sky." This shows that Len is striking with the force of a meteor, neither relenting in her force nor accepting her surrender in the coming fight. The next line, "until the day it has eliminated all of the darkness," is played over 2 scenes that happen back to back. First, Len's partner Fukuzero launches several grenades from her grenade launchers, symbolizing the eradication portion of this line. The resulting explosions don't phase Pito, who is shown in the same maniacal smile plastered upon her face as she walks towards the camera away from the explosions. In this shot, Pito represents the darkness in the song, but not only that, it shows that she's an enemy force to be reckoned with. In the next few shots, we see Len and M taking aim and firing at opponents that are off-screen. They are facing in opposite directions, however, making it seem like they are meant to face off against each other. The line here references a nobility that can't be shaken, showing off that they're technically here to save Pito Huey, while still being on opposite sides. The next few shots are of Len, Fukuzero, the boss of the gymnastics club, who goes by Boss, M, and Pito Huey in that order. Each of them is facing a direction based on their teams in the squad jams. Len and Fukuzero are a team established in the second squad jam, and Boss has been on the opposing side both times, so it would make sense that they're facing off against each other. However, M appears to be facing the same direction that Len and Fukuzero are. This may just reference how M and Len teamed up in the first squad jam, but I'd like to think of it as M really supporting Len in the second squad jam, not only to save his own hide, but to save his friend Pito. And Pito Huey is facing the camera itself, showing that she's no one's ally in combat, willing to take down friend and foe alike. This is also echoed in episode 7 with a couple of lines from the same guy who pointed out the nature of Pito Huey's name. The line played here continues the chorus with "It will remain," referencing how until Len takes down Pito, the constant threat of her life will remain up in the air. We then see a shot of Pito Huey brushing away the dust with her rifle before raising her gun towards the sky, revealing an extending bullet line coming from the barrel. The line says, "Because it wished for the darkest night." This last part is actually played in English, and this references how dark and maniacal Pito Huey is, as well as how her darker side will remain in control of her until the end of the conflict. The philosophy that the light will shine during the darkest of nights is something echoed in the song as what the meteor will do: eliminate the darkness and save the light. Len, as stated symbolically throughout the OP, is that meteor to Pito Huey's darkness, meaning that it's up to Len to save her friend from herself. The final shot is of Len aiming Pichon at the camera before raising it upwards as the camera pans to the red moon above them, which both Pito and Len's bullet lines are pointed at. The line played here is similar, but it translates to "I won't avert my eyes, I've decided the darkest night," which again is played in English. This symbolizes that Len isn't going to back down from the destined confrontation with Pito Huey, but rather that she is prepared to face her in combat and remain strong until the end. And while we have this image of the blood moon above us, I was curious as to what this meant. I've seen it time and time again in Akame ga Kill, but seeing it here made me curious to know more. So I went digging and I found that the blood moon, otherwise known as the lunar eclipse, symbolizes new beginnings, endings, culminations, and wiping the slate clean. It makes sense in the context of Akame ga Kill, being that it's shown when Night Raid is first revealed and on the night of Zanku's death in episode 4, but it's here where the symbolism becomes more than a literal blood moon. Pito is planning on killing herself and M if she fails this squad jam, so her intent is to end her life. Len's intent is to show Pito that she doesn't want her friend to die. Rather than that, she wants to show Pito that there's more to life than a death game, and help her begin a new road to recovery from being an SAO loser like she was years prior. The whole OP is masterfully done, and the second version of it has the sound effects that make it come to life even stronger than the first time you see Ryuusei. Honestly, I can't think of another way to kick off this great show, and I don't think I would have to. Ryuusei is fully symbolic of the knowledge within the show and the characters we get connected to while watching. If you've half a mind to see what I mean, by all means, you can check it out on Verve or Crunchyroll, neither of which are sponsors for this little video, but I'm giving them a shout out anyway. Jeff Thu, I've laid the groundwork, so if you're ready to follow this up with your own video, please do. Until then, you know what I do. Play strategy games online. You can watch me and my friends play through Conception 2 on twitch.tv every Sunday.
And on the first try, we have triplets. Absolutely outstanding.
That was so bad and so amazing at the same time. Watch me play through Fire Emblem on Tuesday.
Grima!
There, that's more fitting of a Forsaken future. Let's dive into it. Or you could watch me play through Xenoblade Chronicles every Friday, except for this week. Yes! I am done with this challenge! The link is in the description below. Until then, I'll see you all next time.